tell us about that trip that y'all put together for Flint. That was powerful.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so Flint, Michigan. Myself, along with a lot of great organizations and individuals, namely Nehemiah Davis and the RBG Fridays contingent and our entire network, along with my company, What's Up African Apparel. We became aware of the Flint water crisis, and because we saw it on the news, and it's crazy that it had been going on for 2 years before we had even heard anything about it nationally. And, with that story breaking, it became very apparent to us that something needed to be done immediately, and the only thing that we could think to do beyond going up there and tearing the pipes out of the ground ourselves is like, we need to bring these people some fresh water. And, myself, along with Nehemiah Davis and the other organizations that we partner with, we came up with an idea to do a huge water drive. So,
what's up, African? This is What's Up African TV. Where's the ruler, man? We out here with the Nehemiah Davis Foundation, What's Up African organization, as well as other great Philly groups. And we out here packing this truck up. We already got one.
Flyers and everything. And
so we have one truck already filled up, filling in the second truck. First truck is a 24-footer. We out here filling the second truck. Philly to Flint. It's real.
We put it together all within a week. That's what was so mind-blowing. It's like we knew something had to be done, so we just jumped on it.
Geared up and ready to go to Flint, Michigan, man. Philly to Flint. Check us out. Watch us.
Actually exceeded our goal. We, instead of just capturing 10,000 bottles of water, we actually collected 60,000 bottles of water.
Getting these waters for you guys. They'll be there, Flint.
Right.
We bought all the waters out in Philly. There's no more water nowhere else. It's coming all to Flint.
Plus,
Oh yeah,
in the snow.
Yeah.
He's like just getting them, but that's the type of work that they said they need to be done. They need to be done. People need to see it in order to
Because that inspired everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all had people like, showing Puffy Combs saying, I'm going to throw $1 million out to this.
Right.
You had other cats, it turned into a international.
Yeah, it was right after the Philly to Flint. They did the Richmond to Flint. They did the
I seen Miami
to Flint. They did the
Houston
Oklahoma to Flint.
Yeah, I was even part of the second, like another part of that.
Yeah.
We put together something. It was after. It was like the second runner.
I wanted to go. I didn't know who was. People was asking me like we was going. I was like, who's going?
Right.
I wanted to go.
Actually being in Flint on the ground, knocking on those doors and delivering the water bottles, and actually being in the houses and turning the water on and actually seeing it come out looking like red mud.
Yeah.
You see, and these are conditions that they are used to. It's almost numb to.
Yeah.
They've been drinking and bathing and cooking with this water for years, you see.
Yeah.
And it just now become aware to our attention.
Right.
So the water bottles is almost even pacifying the actual real situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even, it can't even be looked in terms of a solution, but more so just a unity. So the water bottle movement to Flint was more so to show African solidarity, new African solidarity, more so than actual solution, because we know that we have to get to the pipes, right? If you want to change it, you have to get to the pipes if we really want to.
And you know what I learned about after that? I'm gonna slide the camera over and get a different view for you.
Okay.
But you know what I learned after that? I learned about this term called what was it called? I'll move it up a little bit. I learned of this term called Shrinkage gentrification. Are y'all familiar with that?
Shrinkage gentrification.
Shrinkage gentrification.
Nah.
Shrinkage gentrification is when you basically sort of like allow a community to decay to a point where the living space is shrunk. And you know,
The livable areas.
yeah. So
Alright.
eventually you have to force the people to move to a small, like to a confined area.
Yeah, okay,
And then they have to be, you know, eventually removed because, you know,
It's all strategy.
Definition. If you look it up, that's what they define it as. The process of renovating or improving a district to conform to middle class tastes. Now we understand they always use vague, ambiguous words that are really racist, but if you don't really pay attention, you ain't gonna notice it. So you just say middle class, or you see middle class, but it really mean white, because they ain't talking about no black middle class. They are talking about making sure everything where you live now has to conform to a white standard.
Strategy when it comes to the geography.
Because they can't just go in and
interpretation.
slaughter everybody.
They got to give the illusion that because they have these meetings, these county meetings, these city meetings, but they know that the people who they're getting ready to get out of those spaces are in poverty, and the people who are normally in poverty and experiencing certain conditions aren't socially, politically, economically aware. So they're not going to be in a meeting. This is what we see in Detroit, where 86% of the population of Detroit is black, but less than 10% of the people who show up to the meetings are black. You see, so then you have that 14% of the population of Detroit showing up to every meeting. So they're making the decisions based on the whole entire city limits of Detroit when their decisions are going to be within their interests.
That's why I said we so shallow in our analysis. They begin to confuse us. And I got black people like, it's just about money. It's not about attacking black people. You fool. You so shallow in your analysis that you don't understand what they're doing. And everything that they do is always about disunity. It's always about disrupting the unity that we have, because the unity is what empowers us. So what happens when they begin to gentrify a certain area? They gentrify South Philly and folks get scattered. They push us out to some counties, and some of the folk from my block move to Sharon Hill. And some of the folk from my block, they move to Upper Darby. And some of the folk from my block, they move to Delaware. And you know what they do? They got us spread out all over the place. We have no kind of political power. We have no kind of harmony because we didn't grow up with the new people that we live on the block with. So I'm not going to fight with them or fight for them because I don't know them. But you thought gentrification was all about money.
Welcome to another edition of the IDP Xpressions Network News. This is your brother, Professor Carl Tone Jones, and I want to thank everybody for pulling up tonight. That clip you just witnessed was yet again another clip from the Independence Day Project movie. I keep telling everyone it's probably the most important documentary film that you can watch right now to prepare you for the days and times we're going through. As you can see, we were enamored in the conditions of the Black community, but also not just the preservation, but the creation of nation building in the Black community. I want to thank everybody that pulled up tonight. I see we got our sister Pretty P, that's me, in the building. I see our sister Rose Onassis is in the building as well. Our sister Tiana Mills is in the building, as well as my love, Mill and Renee, is in the building. So make sure y'all all continue to pull up and invite more as we rebuild this channel, as we provide this service to our community. It is currently 76 degrees here in Philadelphia. It's very, very, very mild, evening compared to previous weeks. And we're enjoying this weather right here. But it is not all well for the people who we claim to know and love. We have a lot of family and friends who are dealing with some dire situations around the country. And if you looked at the description of this particular video tonight, we are diving deep into the apparent genocide of Black people here in America. But I want to also show you that it ain't just Black people here in America that's dealing with this particular issue in regards to genocide, in regards to how we're being mistreated. But before we get into that, I want to talk about a few things that are coming up. September 16th to the 18th, we have the Building Power Summit in Mississippi. So hopefully if you are in the area, Senatobia, Mississippi, you could pull up and check us out. And in addition to that, I want to show y'all something, because we have some family out in Mississippi that's doing some big things. And I want y'all to take notice. We have some family up in the Senatobia area that just opened a coffee shop. So I want y'all to peep what's going on with the Kemet Coffee Shop. They just got started, so round of applause. All right, there we go, y'all. So people just opened up a coffee shop in downtown Senatobia, and that's where the summit will be held this year, the 6th annual Building Power Summit. So pull up, please, catch us there, you know what I'm saying? And we can talk more so in person if you're in the area. It's very affordable, looking, if you're bringing your entire family, it's $25 for your entire family for the entire 3-day event. And there's going to be some powerful things going on there. But I want to get to this particular topic that we're focused on right now, because we are currently in a crisis, family. And the crisis we're dealing with right now concerning our community is dire. And we've been talking for a while about the final solution. Now, we just saw what happened in Flint, Michigan. And it's ironic because several months before Flint, Michigan became infamously known for its poor water situation, I had done a workshop at Black and Nobel when Black and Nobel was located in North Philadelphia, the bookstore. And the title of it was, Are We Ready? And it spoke about the different things we need to be prepared for, how we need to have our own community water supplies, how we need to have safe houses, so which if there was a crisis in our community, we can go to them and use them as refuge. We can also use them as storage lockers for the needs of the community, be it rubbing alcohol, be it clothing supplies, be it first aid kits, be it power generators, be it gallons and tubs of water. We're talking bladders of water for situations that we're facing right now. And why? Because we were familiar with what happened with Hurricane Katrina. We were familiar with the government's deliberate, slow methods of sending assistance. We were familiar with Blackwater, one of the paid-for-hire military outfits that this country run, with its mercenaries sitting atop of the roof of the Superdome, shooting Black people who were trying to leave the flooded areas and cross bridges to get out of New Orleans at that particular time. We watched people talk about watching bodies getting snatched off of cars by alligators. It was just a horrific experience. We know that nobody's going to protect us or save us, so it's up for us to provide that for ourselves. So I want to read a little something to you all. It's really, you know, and I might even share the article so that you can all see it. So Vox did a story about what was going on in Mississippi in terms of Jackson, the city of Jackson. So let me give you some quick demographics about the city of Jackson. The city of Jackson has approximately 185,000 people, based on this most recent census report. Of that, over 80% of the people in the city of Jackson are Black. I believe the number is 83% of the residents in Jackson are Black. What you have going on is people are blaming the situation of Jackson because of inherent racism, white supremacy. So let's check out this particular article as we always do. Let's blow it up just a little bit so that everyone can see. So like I said, this is a Vox News article, and it stated how Jackson, Mississippi ran out of water. So, what the hell? I hate all this crap when they do these pop-ups. You know, I'm gonna back out of this, fix this, and come right back. But what we see going on is, and I could tell you what the article said if they're gonna play this game. And one of the things the article stated was that the city of Jackson has been dealing with these faulty water pipes for a long time now. And because there was, recent storms, it sort of made the water of Jackson undrinkable, unhealthy. So we're going to try this again. I just hate these pop-ups because they sort of like mess up the rhythm of what we're trying to do. So once again, the Vox News article states, how Jackson, Mississippi ran out of water. A crisis that left thousands of residents with no running water was decades in the making. All right. So, and this is a pretty long article, so I'm gonna try to get to it rather quickly because, there's some other things I want to show. I want to show some other works that's been going on. But it says the water system in Jackson, Mississippi, the state's capital and largest city, failed earlier this week. And that's a misnomer. Jackson, for the last month, we're talking about at least since July. All right, all of August, but at least July, the last several months, just the city of Jackson has been under restrictions in terms of their water. They were told to boil their water because the water was cloudy and deemed unsafe to drink naturally from the spigot. Now, and so now, let's say the city's population, which is 150,000 people, approximately. But like I said before, other demographics say the city's a little bigger, closer to 180,000. So somewhere in between. But it's still, just on the cusp of being a large city. It talked about how the government or the governor finally declared a state of emergency. But on Tuesday, so let me read this. Tate reads to declare a state of emergency. He warned that there wasn't enough water to fight fires, to reliably flush toilets, and to meet other critical needs. As of Wednesday afternoon, there was still little to no water pressure for most of the city's residents. That's right. So it's not as though the people in Mississippi or in Jackson were not trying to, not able to flush the or drink. You have drinking water to boil. They don't have water, period. They don't have any water, period. And as you can see, and we'll go down a little bit with the article, and you're going to see why. So the article states that on the surface, the apparent cause of this crisis is damaged infrastructure. Recent flooding strained the city's largest water treatment plant, OB Curtis, which is already dogged with problems. That's right. These places, these infrastructures were outdated, and it was the state's responsibility to actually maintain these facilities. But supposedly, and using the rhetoric of Mississippi being one of the poorest states in the country, if not the poorest state in the country, economically speaking, as to its claims for not having enough resources to assist the mayor. All right. And to assist Mayor Lumumba in getting this done. All right. So look, just to be clear, the plant is located north of the town of Jackson. So when there was a storm and there was flooding, the plant was overrun, leading to raw sewage being placed in the drinking water, and also with the pumps not functioning, it didn't allow for any of the water towers that was associated with this particular facility to get enough water to create the pressure to force water through the pipes and allow people to even have access to the water, whether it was contaminated or not. Now, I'm not going to stay on this article too long because I think we all know what's going on here. And the blame for all of this stemmed from gentrification, it stemmed from white flight and the loss of the white economic dollar. Now, there's something else we need to look at in regards to this particular situation. There's a story that I want to share with you all, and I just need to pull it up in 1 second because it's called America's Dirty Little Secret. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an article from the Guardian newspaper. And I believe this article was produced in 2017. But what it speaks to though is something, and I'm going to stop the music for a second. And the reason why I'm stopping the music is because I want to play a news article, a video that was generated as we purvey some of the pictures from the article. But there was a story about what happened in this particular town. Now, due to copyright issues, I'm not going to show the video, but you will be able to see the article attached to the video because I want you to be able to identify the story. All right. So, and this, like I said, this is the Guardian, and with the Guardian's news story, this particular story, this is a place in Texas, by the way, which is right outside the city limits of Dallas, Texas. It's called Sand Branch, Texas. So let me show y'all, and I'm gonna play for y'all this audio from this video so y'all can see what's going on in Sandbridge as we review the article. But it speaks to, well, I'm just gonna let them tell you. Hold tight.
You're looking at a place in the United States without a single drop of drinkable water. Every ounce of safe water in Sand Branch is brought in from outside the town.
It's not really humane that this little city of Sand Branch, so close to downtown Dallas, doesn't have running water.
In its 142-year existence, Sand Branch has never had running water. And now, the well water, which used to be the life spring in this mostly Black town, is contaminated. The result has been a steady drain of residents. So a place once home to hundreds only has dozens now.
There'd be a lot of people come back to this neighborhood if they had water.
The few remaining continue waiting to secure the win residents have spent decades fighting for, getting water flowing into Sand Branch.
They're not asking you for anything free. They're asking you for a water bill.
Hey fam, I'm Imayan, and I traveled to Sand Branch, Texas to tell you the story of how this developed nation is more likely to fail to resource Black and brown communities. I'm driving to a town less than 15 miles south of downtown Dallas on a chilly winter morning. Already I've had more simple interactions with water in the first hour of my day than any of Sand Branch's residents have had in the town's entire history. And that resonates with me.
How do you get water to your animals?
So, as you just seen, there's a crisis in terms of a Black town. At one point, it was had a population of 400 people. Now there's 100 people left in a particular township. And they don't have access to any running water. And what actually happened is somehow, some way, the well water that kept the town afloat for nearly 200 years got contaminated. And it cut off their access to water. We're seeing a pattern develop here, family. We're seeing a pattern develop here. Black townships struggling with water crisis. You see, if we go back in time, there was a time where in order to destroy predominantly Black townships, you would create a narrative that a Black man assaulted a white woman, or white women were in danger of angry, aggressive, guerrilla-like Black men. And it would create a fury that would allow for white people to decimate the Black community. We've heard all the tales. We've heard from all the different towns that Black people served or Black people created post-slavery, post-Reconstruction. We can run down the list. Most notably, Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was Atlanta, Georgia. There was Durham, North Carolina. All these different places. Wilmington, North Carolina. All these different cities. East St. Louis, Illinois. We can run down the list. Hyattsville, Georgia. Slocum, Texas. See, the bloody summer of 1917. See, we can go down the list. But now, because of the stain that it left the bloody hands of white men, white America, they've changed their tactics. And this has been happening all throughout South, it's been happening. All throughout the North, it's been happening all over. And now what you see with towns like Flint, Michigan, and the water crisis. Don't forget about the 70s when the lead crisis occurred, lead poisoning all throughout major cities, where the highways were constructed to go through these particular communities. And they were driving the people crazy with all of the different things that was going on. They tried to attribute it to children eating chips of lead paint, but what was discovered later on was that lead-fueled gasoline vapors during rush hour traffic was allowed to as cars ran and cars dealt with standing traffic. That was the issue, and that was the reason behind the lead poisoning in our communities, the lead pipes in the schools, the slow death that they were applying to our community. And now they found another way to create conditions to put our people in perilous ways. And see, this is the type of stuff we need to be focused on when we understand what's happening. You know, we truly understand the vulgarity of what they're doing to us. We really need to understand the perspective from the place of where we're in danger. And what you're seeing right now is a lack of hold on, I gotta pause this. I want y'all to hear something. A lack of organization on our behalf. So this is one video I will play that you can all hear and watch. This video, and shout out to the Black Liberation Movement for this particular video, for covering the issue going on. And I want to play this video so y'all can hear full and clear about the crisis that's happening on the ground level from people who are working the streets, from the grassroots. This is what's going on in Jackson. So hold tight.
Let's come out of the desk and let's get into the streets and help those folks that need their help. So from a psychosocial standpoint, if you don't understand how the mind is processing, your reticular activating system will shut down. And then you won't go out and reach out for help anyone. You just deal with it, right? And so what we are doing now is I'm challenging my colleagues to come along with me and others, and what we was able to do, go into apartment complexes, and we went there. We was appalled, man. These folks was not. They're in these apartments. They haven't flushed their toilets in days. In days. So you knew coming down the hallway it was such a stench. And so I called a couple of brothers, man. Listen, y'all go to the store, get some Lysol, man. Get some disinfectant to come in here and help these elders clean their room, their apartments up. And so a lot of understanding, as you get older, most times you get very conservative. You get very proudful, and you don't want nobody know your business, right? So what we have to do as professionals, especially who are called social workers, we have to take that social part and activate the work. And so that's what my challenge is, me being the president of the Jackson Association of Black Social Workers, challenging all of my colleagues to say, listen, let's come out of the desk and let's get into the streets and help those folks that need their help. So from a psychosocial standpoint, if you don't understand how the mind is processing, your reticular activating system will shut down. And then you won't go out and reach out for help anyone. You just deal with it, right? And so what we are doing now is I'm challenging my colleagues to come along with me and others, and just go to these apartment complexes, these senior citizen living homes, and let's just talk to the elderly and find out what their needs, their tangible needs are, but also where their emotional needs are as well, because a lot of these older people are suffering in silence. And that's what we did today. I mean, all we did is pretty much give water. Water is the first key. But there's other issues, other things that you can give them as well, but you cannot give them anything if they don't feel as though you're addressing their tangible needs. And so that's what we're doing right now. Tomorrow we have another truck coming in from Greenville, and we're going to coordinate, Brother Patrick, we're making sure that we get people to get the water out, but we want to make sure we give the water out to the people that need the water. And no doubt. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We have to make sure we do that. And we got to make sure we put the social in work. And we put the social in work. That means social means you're activating, you're actively interacting with different people. You're not just sitting behind a desk and just sitting there and just listening to people's problems and giving them these prescriptive solutions from these psychological theorists like Freud and others who did
Coach, I got a couple of questions. I got a question.
So understand something, y'all. All of these places right now in Jackson are without water. There was a situation, and it was talked about earlier in this particular video, and y'all can go to the Black Liberation Movement channel, and what I'll do is leave a link in the chat and follow this particular story as and also if anybody is interested in providing some assistance, because the effort right now is to stay afloat. Now, supposedly this particular crisis is supposed to be resolved by the end of the week, but we all know who's going to get the resources first, and it's not going to be our people. It's going to be that very select community of white folk that live in Jackson. Their needs are going to be met first. We have, the brother in this particular video also stated that although supposedly President Biden has issued a state of emergency as well as the governor, but FEMA has not been seen. And the brother, at the bottom of this particular newscast, this broadcast, stated that his wife works for FEMA, and they have not seen FEMA in Jackson as of yet. So, now they're asking people to take showers without opening their mouths and all these other things that you would expect from a third world country. Now, according to Chokwe Lumumba, the mayor of Jackson, he stated it would take about $1 billion to rectify their water situation, the water crisis, and to renew the pumping stations and so forth, and to provide clean water into Jackson. But the president only gave the entire state a little over $70 million. Why is this key? Because, family, let me show you something. Let me just show y'all something so that we can see how this is all playing out. All right. Remember now, only have enough bread for relief for 70, well, I believe it's like $75, $76 million, right? Okay. I want y'all to see this next screen that I pull up. All right. That's right. The U.S. to send an additional $5.5 billion in new fiscal military aid. This is on top of sending over $1 billion already to the Ukraine. This is the guy that President Biden, who went on the Breakfast Club and told Charlemagne that if you don't vote for me, you're not black. But yet and still, foreigners who happen to share his hue are able to receive billions of dollars in aid. You see, and I'm gonna tell y'all something else. This doesn't just stop here. See, American imperial white domination, whatever you want to call it, their policy of genocide, when they want to take black spaces from black people, it doesn't just stop there. It doesn't just stop there. I'm gonna show y'all something else. And when you see this, you know, the BBC reports. The BBC reports that you have rivers of acid in Zambian village. That's right. So Zambia in Africa. And these are the sisters, and this is how they gather their water on a day-to-day basis. They go down to the river basin and they go and grab water for their villages. They use it to cook, they use it to clean, they use it to do all sorts of things, right? But Zambian, so let's read the caption. Zambian villagers are taking a multinational copper mining firm to court in the UK for accusing it of poisoning their water. The BBC's Nomska Moscow visited the area in which has allegedly been polluted. All right. Let's read. Dressed in colorful sarongs and t-shirts, the women of Hippopool village collect their water on the banks of the Kafu River on Zambia's copper belt. As the sun sets and the weather starts to cool down, they can carry the water in large buckets, which they balance gracefully on their heads as they walk back home. It is water they will cook with, clean with, drink with, and irrigate their farms with. Yeah, I'm adding all the superlatives right now, y'all. But a catastrophe may be looming. When I visited, I could smell and even taste the pollution. Do you understand that? It's the same thing going on in Sand Branch, Texas, where their water has been polluted. The communities of Hippopool, Kokosa, and Shumulea, as well, and Helen say that the Mushiminia stream, forgive me tonight, y'all, the Musha Shima stream and the Kafu have become rivers of acid. Hundreds of villagers who claim copper mining operations in the area have poisoned their water source and destroyed farmland are now taking Zambia's biggest copper mine, Vendetta Resources PLC, to court. Leaked documents, they always get leaked, don't they? That the BBC has seen appear to show that Vendetta Resources, through its Zambian-based Konkola copper mines, have been spilling sulfuric acid and other toxic chemicals into the water sources. See, this is what I'm talking about, family. This is what I'm talking about. This isn't just a Black American thing. This is global. White supremacy is global. But we have to start acting like this, and this is war. This is environmental warfare. This is chemical warfare. When they tap into your drinking water. Now, just imagine we all decided to pick up and move to a place far away from white folk, and we decided to create our own maroon-style villages. All it would take, and we were near a water source, a good, clean water source. All it would take is for them to go further upstream, buy some land, and start deliberately polluting the water. There's already water wars going on for the control of the source of water. It's considered the next gold rush. And specifically considering how there are predictions of it being a water crisis all over the western hemisphere, the western parts of the United States over the next few months. This is crucial. We have to understand that this is warfare amongst descendants of African people. Now, I understand the xenophobia regarding the tribalism amongst the groups. But see, our enemies don't see us as differently as we see ourselves. Our enemies don't respect the different tribes amongst us. They see us as one group of niggas. And we better start recognizing that as we move forward. And I'm going to go back to what's going on in Jackson right now. And I want to speak to something that was said earlier for those of you who missed it in the beginning. When we played that clip from the Independence Day Project, and one of our brothers was talking about how the city of Detroit, 80% black population, but less than 10% of the people that show up at the town council and city council meetings were black. That means that the interest of the community that presided overwhelmingly as a majority don't get recognized, don't get served. And let's dig further into that. You had black politicians, a majority black city council once upon a time in Detroit under the leadership of then Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. Dr. Claude Anderson tried to create Africatown within the city of Detroit to help deal with this overwhelming decay. That shrinkage gentrification that was discussed earlier, that was taking place in Detroit. Detroit was one of the hardest hit cities, along with Chicago, along with all the major cities who had high-rise housing projects that were in proximity to the factories that up and left their particular communities in the 70s. But the white minority controlled the vote, and they voted it down. And they did so with the black city council people as accomplices, stating that it was inherently racist to have an African town in a city that's predominantly, overwhelmingly majority black. Meanwhile, in that same town, you had an Arab town, you had a Chinatown, had Little Italy, even had a large, like I said, all these other communities, excuse me. But the black politicians don't serve black people. So Chukwu Lumumba, descendant of his father, is working all alone. And this is why you have these black spaces where you have a black elected council, you have a black elected mayor, in a majority black town, percentage-wise in the blackest state in America, 40% of Mississippi is black. And then you have a majority of townships in Mississippi where the population is nearly 80 to 90% black. But yet and still, the infrastructure of these towns are suffering because the black politicians don't work for black people. So you have a good-hearted, revolutionary black politician like Chukwu. He's at odds with everybody. He's at odds with the police chief. He's at odds with the fire marshal. He's at odds with the state representatives. He's at odds with the governor because he's trying to do for black people. And as usual, as black people, we don't provide cover for those who stick their necks on the lines for us. And for that, it's probably the major reason why right now is why the city of Jackson is suffering through this. See, this ought to be a lesson to the black community. As Booker T. Washington once said, cast your bucket where you are and make it work for you. Build these communities, protect these communities. Take a stake in these communities. Have some civic pride in these communities. It's not white flight. It's the lack of black collectiveness that is the reason why these townships are suffering. It is the slave mind, the colonized mind of black people all over the planet as to why we continuously or why allow the minority of white people to dominate us politically, socially, economically, and even spiritually. So with that said, family, I thank everybody for pulling up tonight. If you don't have a copy of the Independence Day Project, I strongly suggest you get it. There's been several weeks now where we've been able to look at current events that were discussed in great length and detail within the Independence Day Project. It is the only documentary that is speaking to the solutions for the black community. I don't make the documentary to sell, to get rich. I created this documentary to empower our people to look past our petty differences and to look to the solutions that will lead us, take us from out of the thumb of white supremacy, white domination. But we can talk and we can complain, but it won't change our condition. Finally, I want to say something too, and I'm sure he won't mind. I had a very interesting conversation with one of our dearest elders, Baba Professor James Small. I talked to him on Monday. I'll talk to him on Friday, excuse me. And in the conversation with Baba Small, I asked him about, his feeling in terms of our conferences, the rallies and things of that nature. And Baba Small said to me, in the way only Baba Smalls can, he said, Brother Kyle, I'm tired. I've given everything to the people. All of the lessons that are needed have been taught. All of the books that needed to be wrote have been written. And the bottom line is, Brother Cobb, that if the people want to fix what's wrong, they have to apply the lessons to their realities. In other words, it's up for us to fix what's wrong in our communities. It's up to us to read to take the words off the blueprint for building Black power. It's up for us to take the lessons off the screen from the Independence Day Project and apply it. Until we do so, we're going to continue to suffer this indignity. we're going to continue to suffer the disregard, the implemented political policies of the Democratic and Republican Party, but mostly the Democratic Party, of benign neglect. And we're going to consistently look at the devils that put us in these predicaments and beg them to help get us out of them. Not understanding or not caring to acknowledge this is war. And as we said in the Independence Day Project, whether you acknowledge it or not, war has been declared on you and all of the Black communities. What are you going to do about it? So I want to thank everybody for pulling up. I see we have some great conversation going on in the chat, and I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to being able to, see everybody the next few weeks. And we really need to understand that it's up to us to fix what's going on with us. It's up to us to protect ourselves from the infinite threats around us. And it's up to us to make a stand against the indignities and the warfare of white domination. Peace and power, family. Thank everybody for tuning in. I look forward to seeing and hearing from you on Monday. Please, family, share the broadcast, some pertinent information, and hopefully we can continue to build as we look forward to rebuilding what they have stolen. Until then, peace and power, family. One love. Ashe.